Thank you so much for coming, and to wish you a good morning. It is such a privilege, an honor, and an inspiration to be in a room filled with people who are passionate about the power that women have to change the world. This event is about what happens when you bring the intelligence, the enthusiasm, the determination, and strength of women together with the innovation and reach of the internet. This summit is important because we know women across the Middle East and North Africa are using the internet and technology in amazing ways to lead and to inspire and to change the world. The summit will achieve a couple of things. One of the most important things is that it will connect women across the region who are doing amazing things. The second thing is that it'll help us learn a little bit more about how women are using the internet and technology, and we think that will spark creativity and spark innovation. The final thing is that we think that this is the beginning of a conversation that we intend to have in the Middle East and North Africa, definitely, and also around the world.
For years, I've been following so many of the women in this room, whether they were blogging or on Facebook or now on Twitter. I think it's important to bring together women from all over the world to talk about human rights and democracies, because women's stories often go untold and women's stories are often belittled. Women are told you don't matter. One of the most revolutionary things that a woman can do is to say her story and to say that my story is important.
To begin a dialogue that will not only stretch across this region, but really around the world. The lessons and the power of what has gone on in the last year here are so relevant to women around the world. And one of the things that I wanted to tell you just from our perspective at Vital Voices, you are an absolute inspiration.
Women are the most powerful creatures in the world. The woman influenced the man to go out in Libya to fight for his country, to honor him, to honor the country with his life. So I think that if we continue to work together and each of us network with each other in this room and find out how we can actually help each other to empower ourselves, because once we empower ourselves, we can help change the world and make it a better place.
The Libyan minister said that he feels that maybe in Libya it's easier to build up a ministry because there never existed a ministry of culture, whereas in Egypt you have a lot of problems.
Can we say anything we want on social media? Can we be liable? Just a question, because I see people going to the very far end and saying absolutely anything they want, and I'm just curious. Is this okay? Am I old-fashioned and bold? I don't know. Thank you.
So actually this has been a question we've been trying to investigate for so long. Whether bloggers should be accountable for what they write, or the people who use social media should be accountable for what they write. Social media in the Middle East, or actually in the whole world, the best thing about social media is that it gives you the freedom to express yourself without any barriers.
If I understood you right, it is not a law that you cannot drive in Saudi Arabia.
Everyone asks me this question, why women to drive?
But lately I've been involved heavily in the Women to Drive campaign in Arabia, which I initiated with other women in the country. What we're trying to do when we started is to spread the awareness that there is no law banning women from driving. It's only it's a society thing, and we wanted women to know that you're not breaking any laws by driving. So we called for this day, June 17, for women to drive. Now we are My Rights to My Dignity campaign, which we are concentrated on 3 things. Women driving, of course, which we started and we're continuing. and the other one is cancelling the male guardianship system in the country, and the third thing is having a personal status law, which we don't have.
This morning I actually moderated a session on revolutionary women, and we had women from Yemen, from Saudi Arabia, from Egypt, and from Libya. And each of them talked about the struggles, the challenges, but how their voices were heard on the front lines of change, that they feel as though women played a critical role. Movements for change and women standing shoulder to shoulder with men to make that change hasn't actually translated into greater rights and opportunities for women. So that's the challenge that lies ahead. And I think what's absolutely critical in that is women having both regional, local, and then of course global networks to be able to make that change, pull from ideas and inspiration from each other. And I think that social and digital media is absolutely critical to making that happen.
What was very special about the region is not particularly the tools, but how the tools have been used, and more particularly how online communities thrived around these tools.
Protesters, you would mark as a prostitute. It's not easy to them. And the government put a huge number of employees only in Twitter and in Facebook, putting pictures of young ladies, students in university, putting their names and sometimes their phone number, saying that they are prostitutes just because they went and participate in this the movement on their country.
Shouldn't citizen journalism or blogs in general have like a stamp saying CG, for example, or a disclaimer saying this is not professional journalism?
It's wonderful to know that the voiceless are being given a voice and being empowered by having access to the internet. We've seen that women in Egypt were part of the January 25th revolution, but they've since been underrepresented and marginalized. And we want to make sure that they continue the debate online, they continue to get their voices heard, they continue to participate so that they too can be part of the process, political, economic, and social. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's not my voice that I care to be heard. I have nothing to say. I have no story. The reason why I founded Yemen Rights Monitor with my colleagues is to ensure that people stay alive. So in January, when the media were being shut out of the country, when Al Jazeera was shut down and Reuters cameras were destroyed, I knew that the government kills in the darkness, that something bad was going to happen and people were going to die and lives had to be saved. Because this way, if we get a civilian on the ground who's barely literate but has a phone, sees what happens and record it, we could get a system going whereby their voice, not my voice, but their voice can be heard of an illiterate villager who sees a human rights violation. This woman can simply click the play button, the record button on her phone, record the video, and then run to an internet cafe and have them upload it.
It's been an amazing day. We have heard from women from across the Middle East and North Africa, from Yemen, from Somalia, from Saudi Arabia, from Libya, I mean, really everywhere. And I think we've had a couple of predominant themes. One, we've heard about the power of connection. All of the women talked about how amazing it was to be in the same room with people who were their heroes. And I think that speaks to really the power of the internet to connect people who are not physically present. We've also heard that it's really important to learn from the people who went before us. So we've heard a lot of women talk about being able to connect generations of people who created change.